seek golden moments in communication. Sheila Jones is a business executive and CEO of Wicked Results. She is a certified John Maxwell coach, speaker, and trainer. She's a head speaker coach for TEDx York Beach, Maine. In her role, she teaches the art of speaking and communication. Her successes include taking the inexperienced speakers and readying them to speak, and taking the experienced speakers and lifting them to the TEDx level. Editor pick status. It's the highest. Sheila has held leadership positions with Nestle, Campbell Soup, Walmart, and Savencia Fromage and Dairy, and was responsible for leading billion-dollar business divisions. Additionally, she's a contributing editor for Emerging Leaders magazine and is an award-winning children's book author. Let's put our hands together for Sheila Jones.
The trick is always getting it off the, whatever this is, right? All right, so let's get this party started today. I used to be a chef, and I was in the restaurant business. And in the restaurant business, the communication to me often looked like this. Hey, Jonesy, pick up table 20. Hey, you cooked this steak wrong. You need to make this thing well done instead of medium rare. For 15 years, I heard that communication to me. And I summarized that communication as very simple and straightforward communication. Task focus specifically. As I was moving through my career as a chef, I decided that I wanted to go to college. So I got a degree in biology and chemistry and a degree in food science. After I got my degrees, I went ahead and pursued opportunities in corporate America. I began the journey working for Nestle's. And when I began my job, I realized that my communication skills were really underdeveloped, like significantly. Reflecting back on the restaurant and having that skill set, just a couple of words at a time. When I began with Nestle's, I started to run into this need to create presentations. And they'd all start out exactly the same. I'd flip open my computer, I'd sit in front of PowerPoint, and I'd begin the journey of creating that incredible PowerPoint. And then I'd grab these big, huge words. I'd put on these really nice clothes, and I'd come up on stage with my PowerPoint. And oftentimes, it was an epic disaster, because I really wasn't that prepared or skilled. So I'd be up there on the stage, and I'd be stumbling and fumbling and falling all around, and then I would transform from a personality of an extrovert to a personality of a piece of wood. I'd get real stiff, and I'd go and I'd have the clicker in my hands, and I'd be trying to manage the slides. You're clicking the slide, and you're looking, and you're clicking, and next thing you know, you're 5 slides ahead or 5 slides behind. You're trying to talk, the content doesn't match you, and you're thinking I'm doing great, right? You're still alive, you're still breathing, and you're thinking, this is going good, right? So as my career continued, I was moving around in my career. I ended up going to work for corporate Walmart in Bentonville, Arkansas. And in the interview, they said to me, hey, you are going to have to give really big presentations. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm good at this, right? Because I had this PowerPoint thing and the clicker and all that kind of stuff, right? So I started this journey of creating these amazing presentations. And again, I thought I was really good until this one particular day. Here I am in this process of running this billion-dollar divisions, okay? And I am in the process of reformulating laundry detergent. All right? Now, I think we've all used laundry detergent before. At least, hopefully, right? Maybe, maybe not. It all depends. So I am running this big reformulation for laundry detergent, and I go back to what I know. What do I know? PowerPoint, my laptop, nice clothes, the clicker. I'm always doing this stuff, right? So here I am, right? I'm like in this room. I've got all these business people with me, and I'm going through this incredible presentation about laundry detergent. And I am like talking, like I'm pouring my heart in this thing. I've got my chemistry, my science. I'm talking about optical brighteners and foamers and all these different things. And I'm like, because I don't know what I'm doing, I decide to repeat it all, right? Like, I'm like, okay, if you didn't get my science, let me start over again. Let's talk about surfactants and optical brighteners. And when I bored them to death with my science, I then decided to slide right into the math. I had huge graphs and standard deviations and regression analysis. And I'm thinking, man, I am doing great, right? I'm still breathing, I feel alive, right? And I like look up, and I'm looking at everyone, and I'm realizing there isn't one person in the room that is paying attention to me at all. On that side of the room, they were asleep. On that side of the room, they were scrolling on their phones. Everyone looking down, scrolling on their phones. I don't know what to do, because I can't pull this out of the trash can. This is a disaster. This is $1 billion project I'm on, and I basically created this content that was so boring, no one cared about it. Everyone's like, hey, we gotta leave. We can't stay here any longer. We gotta go. Vice President comes, taps me on the shoulder. He's like, we're out of here. I'm like, but wait, let me tell you some more about my science. And he's like, no, we're leaving. So bottom line, I'm in this process. I talk to my friend, and he gives me some really candid feedback. He goes, you sucked, okay? Like, you sucked. Like, the science, no one cares about your science. We're business majors. We care about money. And I'm like, science is money. And he's like, no, it's not. Okay, you need to start over. So that's what I did. That feedback was so profound, so impactful to me, so significant, it changed my life. So I began to create communication that worked for me. What went wrong in that presentation was many things. I had the wrong visuals. I had the wrong visuals. And I'm going to repeat that intentionally. I was trying to explain to them that laundry detergent removes red wine, and I was using something that looked like this. This is a laundry swatch. No one in this room understands or knows what this is, only us who are scientists. When I didn't get them straight with the red wine, I continued. And I was explaining to them. You're like laughing already because you already know what's going on. I'm like, here's the grass stains. Here's the grass stains. They're like, okay. Someone take her off the stage, right? So then I continue. Hey, this is mustard. And they're like, yeah, we're done. We're out of here, right? We're going home. Bottom line, the visuals were so bad. The content was so boring. As I said, I chose to create new communication skills for myself. I created a 5-step program that I used and have used now for decades. The first part of it is straightforward communication. No more big words. None. Simple communication, straightforward. The next piece of it that I created was the ability to measure. Does my measure and my audience understand what I'm talking about? Can my audience look at me and see and understand? I'm measuring every single time I'm talking to you right now. When I'm measuring, I then move to bridging and assisting. In that process, I'm trying to help someone understand what I'm actually saying. And when I'm doing that, I'm looking and I'm trying to figure out how I can help you better understand. Now, I showed you these larger swatches. These were terrible visuals for you to understand what I was talking about. Absolutely horrible. After bridging and assisting, I'm going to go to pivoting. As soon as I see that you are not getting what I'm saying, I'm going to intentionally move the content so that you understand. All with the intention for you to achieve and me to achieve a golden moment of communication. So I'm going to ask for some participation from the audience. I have Ira's daughter here that's going to help me. So as soon, you're not kidding, right? We got a whole team I can call up, a baseball team. All right, so when I decided that I needed to redo this larger presentation, I started with new visuals. And what did I use? Remember, I started with these swatches. No one understood it. So what I did was, I created this other visual. Let's walk over here for a second. Spin this around for a second. I literally chose to create content that the audience could visually relate to. This is a red wine. What is this on the shirt? That's when you're walking and someone runs into you and you're left-handed and you splash yourself over here on your shirt, right? People understand this because this is the clothing that you typically wear every single day. This right here, this is when you're walking and you have a pretzel and it's covered with mustard and the guy in front of you stops and you run right into him and the pretzel hits you right in the chest. Oops. Now, down here, we got the grass stains. As soon as I brought this content out, everyone understood what I was talking about. And when they didn't understand, I went ahead and bridged and assist with them. See, back in the beginning when I was trying to communicate, I was afraid of questions. But in this process, I knew and learned that questions are the gateway to understand if people are getting what I'm saying to them, right? This right here in the center, that's the epic disaster where you're drunk from the wine, you tripped on this, you got your pretzel slammed against you, and you fell in the grass, okay? This is where the catastrophe of life ends up happening. But this is really a real shirt with these stains on them that you typically see as a person that's using laundry detergent. So I'm going to thank you very much for this, right? All right, so bottom line, after I was able to really use my communication skills, and again, I'm going to repeat them to you guys, really straightforward communication. I'm talking about a white t-shirt with literally stuff in the grocery store on that shirt. The visual was so impactful to the team, so clear. They were like totally on board with the reformulation. I was able to execute $1 billion worth of business making that transfer. Now, as I've gone through this process, I've used these skill sets. Straightforward communication. I'm going to measure to the audience if they understand what I'm talking about. And if they don't, I'm going to bridge and assist them in that process. Then, after that, I'm going to pivot if we need to pivot. I'm going to help them change the way we're going and get the right answer to them. Then I'm going to seek those golden moments of communication. It has been decades since I began this process. The effect of it is I have sold billions of dollars worth of product and driven business that is just epic in terms of the amount of money that I've been able to help companies get. In addition to that, I've helped about 18,000 people craft and interview messages that have brought millions of dollars to these people. I know that when I was announced today, I said that I was a TEDx speaker coach, and I am. In that process of being a TEDx speaker coach, I've helped people achieve editor's pick. That's one of the highest ranking accomplishments in the TEDx space. Those people are marketed to 34 million people in one swift scoop. Using the ability to create good visuals and interact with your audience specifically is very paramount in the communication process. So let's just reflect back here. Communication skills are important in business, but they're equally important in everything you do, every single day, and in life. In September, one of my very, very dear friends passed away from cancer. His name was Paul Spicknell. I've known him for 27 years. When I learned that he passed away, I called his wife and I said, Ellen, could I speak at the eulogy? Can I be one of the speakers and speak at the celebration of life, giving the eulogy? And she said yes. At that moment, I took every bit of my communication skills and crafted a message about Paul's life. I didn't get on stage and start talking. I started writing, thinking, and crafting that message very intentionally. I began by thinking, who is the audience? How well do I know these people? How well will they know me? I hadn't really been in Annapolis, Maryland, where Paul lived, for 24 years. So obviously, when I'm in that room, they're not going to know me. I began immediately with my communication skills, measuring right off the bat, what would I say, how would I say it, and would the people in the room get what I was saying? Now, I could have been very, very intentional and told hilarious stories from back in the day. But who would have gotten them? Who would have understood them the same way that Paul and I had lived them? Nobody. Not one person. So I told this very simple story about a shed. A 14 by 14 burgundy shed, wood trim. As I'm looking at you all right now, I can tell you're paying attention to me. And I'm doing that very intentionally with you. Let me tell you about Paul. He was about 5'8". He had gigantic biceps, huge forearms. He wore jeans, construction boots, and a baseball cap. In that shed, for years, we all met, talked, socialized together. When you walked into the shed, there was a blue cooler full of beer. On the right-hand side were chairs, simple lawn chairs. If you got to the shed early, you got a chair. If you got to the shed late, you got a bucket, a drywall bucket, or a Home Depot orange bucket. But no matter what you sat on, no matter where you were, in the shed, outside of the shed, everyone did the same thing. They talked, they laughed, and they had fun. There was no TVs, no phones, just friends. When I told the story of Paul and the shed, every single person in that room had actually been in that shed. They had sat on the chair, a bucket, on the floor, or had a beer in that shed. I could see everyone remembering those moments, those legendary moments. When I was finished, people came up and they talked to me. They introduced themselves. I was surprised. But I had made a connection with them, a connection that was so deep, so profound. When it was over, I went and walked up to the picture reel, and on the picture reel was that shed with Paul standing in the doorway with construction boots on, a pair of jeans, and a hat. And at that particular moment, I knew that I had told the right story. I knew that I'd spent time thinking through what I was going to say and created the story and gave the memory for Paul that every single person in that room would remember. Today, I want you to think about your communication skills. I want you to think about what you do when you are ready to present. I want you to use the skills of straightforward communication, measuring, bridging, assisting, creating that pivot, and allowing the moment of golden communication to occur. Because there's business to get, but there's people to remember, people to love, and people to honor in life. And if you use your communication skills correctly, you can serve both. Thank you very much.